In this video, we're going to have a look at the Array.collect function. What this allows you to do is to take a number of arrays and consolidate them into a single one. A lot of times in your programs, you're going to have arrays coming from different structures, and you want to, for example, merge those together to do some ordering of the elements or whatever it might be. There's a lot of times in your program when you want to merge different arrays together, and this is what Array.collect allows you to do. So to see a very simple example of this first, we're going to let input be equal to an array, but this array is going to be nested. So we have one array sort of at the top level, then in here we have another array, and this contains a couple elements, 1, 2, let's say. Then we have a second one in here, and we need to separate, let's see, these with a semicolon like that. And in here we have a second array, and this contains 3, 4, let's say. Now, if we want to get this into one common array, because this representation here is, not the best. It's not very easy to work with because you would have to iterate over the nested arrays to sort of go through all the values. What you would do to get this on sort of a flat structure is you would send the input to the Array.collect. And in this case, because we don't want to do any modifications, we would give it the identity function. So let's execute that. You can see that what we get down here is a single array with all the elements flattened out. And this is exactly what we want. So this is sort of a neat application, but sometimes you might have structures where the arrays are not, the only thing that exists, but you actually want to extract those. So I want to show you a more sophisticated example as well that illustrates how we can do that. I'm going to define a type for this, and I'm just going to call it my type, like that. And in this one, we're going to have an ID for some record. It's going to be an integer. I know you would probably have a more sophisticated data model for this, but nevertheless. And then we're going to have an array in here, and that's going to be an array of strings. So we do something like that. I'm going to create 2 records here. So I'm going to let record 1 be equal to, and in order to initialize this, I would say ID equals 1 and array equals, and then here I would need to define my array. And I would simply give it 2 very simple strings, A and B, like that. I'm going to copy this over and make a second record. So this second one would just have an ID of 2, and the elements would be slightly different. Let's do C and D. Okay, so we have these 2, and I'm now going to use these to define sort of an input array that is nested. So it's not just the nested array, but it contains the entire records. So we're going to do this, and we're going to put record 1 and record 2 in here. Okay, like that. So we have an array of some more complex structures, and we want to extract the arrays within these and then get them into a common representation. The way we would do that is we would send, again, this input variable or this input array to Array.collect. And this time we would actually provide a more sophisticated function. So we would say function of input argument x, and we can tell the program here what we should do before we merge these into one common array. So we can do x.r here. What that's going to do is it's going to take each element, in this case record 1, record 2, extract the r variable, which is our array here, and then after that we're going to do the regular collect operation to get those onto a common array. Let's see what that evaluates to. Okay, and we can see down here that the array we get now is A, B, C, D, just like we would expect. So for each of record 1 and record 2, we go into these arrays, we fetch this thing, we put it into our common array, and then finally we flatten the structure out, so it's just one common array like this. So that's what you can use if you want to gather different array representations and collectively merge them into one single array.